Okay guys, welcome. So first period, obviously as you can see, Miss P is not here today, but you still have me. Aren't you lucky? Okay, so first period, make sure that you get in rhythm. We always have to get in rhythm first, so make sure to get in rhythm. Then once you've gotten in rhythm, make sure to turn in your cell phone, okay? You need your book, you need a pencil, you need your pocket chart, or your whiteboard, and a marker. Okay. So our application problem, which you're going to do in your book, okay? You're gonna do it in your book. It will be page, hold on, let me cheat really quick, guys. Okay, it's gonna be page 73. Okay, you're just gonna do it in your page 73, you're just gonna do your application problem in your book today. Since Miss P is not here, we're not gonna go to the vertical workspaces. So I'm gonna read it to you. There's actually 2 today, okay? Max's reading assignment was to read 15.5 pages. After reading 4 1/3 pages, he took a break. How many more pages does he need to finish his assignment? And then problem 2, Sam and Nat are training for a race. Monday, Sam ran 2 3/4 miles and Nat ran 2 1/3 miles. How much farther did Sam run than Nat? So now you're going to pause your computer, work out the problem on page 73, and when you're done, then click unpause. And I have the sub and Miss Harris there to keep y'all honest though. Pause it. Don't be a cheater. Don't be a cheater. Okay, you should only be watching this if you have the answer. If you don't have the answer, then you better click pause again. Click pause again if you're not done. Okay, if you are done, then what I'm going to do is, so it says that he had to read 15.5 pages, and after reading 4 1/4 pages, he took a break. So I'm gonna draw my strip diagram so that I can make sure I understand what I'm doing first, okay? So, do I know my total? Yes, I do. My total is 15.5 pages, okay? My total is 15.5 pages. Then I know a part. I know that he read 4 1/3 pages, which is one part. Then he took a break. I need to figure out my additional part, which is how much more he needs to do to be done, okay? So what do you think that I would be doing? Subtraction. I would be subtracting. Since I know my total and I know a part, I would be subtracting. I would do 15.5 minus 4 1/3, okay? So like we worked on yesterday, first I'm gonna subtract the 2 whole numbers. So first I'm gonna do 15 minus 4, which would be 11. Now I am going to subtract 11.5 minus 1/3. Okay, 11.5 minus 1/3. Okay, so I am going to multiply to get my common denominator. So I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 3. But if I do it to the numerator, then I have to do it to the denominator. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 6 is 6. Now I have my 1/3. I'm going to multiply both of them to get to my common denominator. But if I do it to the numerator, then I have to do it to the denominator. So 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now 3 6 take away 2 6 is 1 6. And then the 11 stays the same. So Max still has 11 1/6 pages left to be done with his assignment. For problem 2, Sam and Nat are training for a race. Monday, Sam ran 2 3/4 and Nat ran 2 1/3. How much farther did Sam run than Nat? So for my strip diagram for this one, it's going to look a little bit different. So since I'm comparing, so I have Sam and I have Nat. So here is my strip diagram for Sam. He ran 2 3/4. I know he ran further because my problem tells me that. Here's my strip diagram for Nat. He ran 2 1/3. I'm trying to figure out this space in between. How much farther did Sam go than Nat? So what do I need to do? Subtract. Okay, so then I would do 2 3/4 minus 2 1/3. Well, just like we did last time, I would subtract the 2 wholes, and 2 minus 2 would be 0. So now I'm just left with 3/4 minus 1/3. I've got to find that common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 3/4 by 3, but if I do it to the numerator, then I have to do it to the denominator. So that would be 9/12, okay? For the 1/3, I'm going to multiply it times 4. But again, if I do it to the numerator, then I have to do it to the denominator. So it would be 4/12. And 9/12 minus 4/12 is 5/12. So if the answer should have been that Sam ran 5/12 miles longer than Nat. Okay, if you got both those answers, then give yourself a pat on the back. Okay. So our objective today, I can subtract fractions. Ooh, let me erase that so that you can actually read what the objective says. I can subtract fractions greater than or equal to 1 whole. Okay, so I know that Miss P's not there, but the vocabulary words are still on the board. So somebody raise their hand and tell me, what is a like denominators? What does that mean? Well, don't raise your hand because I'm not there, but just think in your head. Like denominators means the denominators are the same. What do unlike denominators mean? Think it in your head. The denominators are not the same. Okay, what does a common denominator mean? Think it in your head. Okay, that's when I find a multiple of both of the denominators. So like in our first problem, our last problem, I believe I had a 3 and a 4. Okay, so when I count by 3s, when I count by 4s, what's the number that I would say on both those lists? 12. So my common denominator would be 12. Okay, what is a fraction greater than 1? Think in your head. That's where the top number is bigger, or the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And then what is a mixed number? That's when there is a whole in a fraction. Okay, and what does it mean to simplify? That is when I divide to get my fraction as small as it can be, or the least number of pieces possible. Okay. So our first problem is we are going to do 1 1/2 minus 1/5 and 1 1/5 minus 1/2. So look at these two problems and you can discuss with the person next to you, what is something that you notice? What is something that you notice? So what I notice is that both of these have the same fractions, they just kind of flip-flop them. Do we think that that means that the answer would be the same? Or do you think that that means that the answers would be different? Well, let's find out. So quick, we're going to draw a quick number line to sketch out what's happening in the problem. Okay, so I have 1 1/2, so I'm going to draw from 0 to 2 holes, and I know 1 hole goes in the middle. Okay, so I start at 1 1/2, which would be right here, and then I'm going back a fifth. Well, would a fifth be really small or really big? Well, it would be pretty small. So I'm gonna make just a jump like right there, and I'm not really gonna be that far from where I started because a fifth is kind of small compared to a half, okay? But on my next one, I'm going to draw the same number line. This time, I'm starting at 1 1/5, so I could actually draw my 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be 5. Okay, so 1 1/5 would be about right here, and I'm taking a jump of a half. So my jump is going to be about half the distance from 1 to 0. So I'd be making a jump right there. Does it look like my answers are in the same spot? No, because when I take away a fifth, my answer is still bigger than 1 whole. But when I have 1 1/5 and I take away a half, then I am going to where my answer is less than 1 whole. But now let's practice actually solving that to check and make sure that this is true.
Those 2 videos.
Okay,
I mean, it's not
I'll come back. So we were doing 1 1/2. No. Nope. I've got to get back up my pencil. Okay, here we go. Now we're good to go. So I have 1 1/2 minus 1/5. So I'm going to draw my picture. So to make 1 1/2, I know that for a whole can be lots of different things. It could be 2/2. It could be 3/3. It could be 4/4. As long as the numerator and the denominator are the same thing, then it is a whole. Well, to make it easier for me to take away this fifth, I am going to show my whole with 5 pieces. So I'm going to draw 4 lines to make 5 pieces. So this would be 1 whole and then a fifth, okay? So with the math, what I'm doing is I am saying 5/5 plus 1/2 makes a, whoops, nope. Miss P did that wrong. Hold on. Because this has to be a half because it's 1 1/2. Okay. So I'm going to draw 1 line and make that a half. Okay? Because 5/5 plus 1/2 makes a whole. And then I'm still subtracting 1/5. Well, now I'm going to use the associative property to rearrange, and I'm going to take that 5/5 and I'm going to take 1/5 away from it. Well, now, but I still have the 1/2. Now I'm left with 4/5 and 2/5, and if I add that together, that will give me my answer. No, that's a half. Okay, so I've got to multiply to find my common denominator. So I would multiply the 4/5 times 2, but if I do it to the numerator, then I've got to do it to the denominator. That would be 8/10. I'm going to multiply the 1/2 times 5, but if I do it to the numerator, then I've got to do it to the denominator. So that would be 5/10. And if I add those together, then I am left with 13/10. But what do you notice about it's because I'm doing the other problem. What do you notice about 13/10? It's too big. So I would need to rewrite it as 1/3. Okay? Now we're going to solve our other problem the other way. So we have 1 1/5 minus 1/2. So I would draw 1 1/5. So I would draw 4 lines to get 5 pieces, and then I would color in 1 whole and 1/5. But can I take away a half if I have this? No. So I would need to find my common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 1/5 times 2, but if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator. So that becomes 1 2/10. In my picture, I'm going to draw one line down the middle so that I split it into tens. Now I'm going to multiply my 1/2 times 5/5, which equals 5 out of 10, okay? I can see from up here that another way of looking at this 1 whole and 2/10 is as 12/10. That will make my subtraction easier. If I have 12, I can take away 5 and I am left with 7/10, okay? Now remember, I know we've talked about this a lot, but I'm going to remind you. I'm going to do it both ways. You just have to pick one way that works for you, that makes the most sense, and you do it that way, okay? Now let's take a look at another one. Okay, 1 3/4 minus 6/7, okay? So it says first, we're going to draw a number line to determine which two numbers it's going to fall in between. Okay, so I have 1 3/4, so I'm going to draw from 0 to 2. Okay, I have 1 3/4, which is going to be right around here. I am taking away 6/7. Is 6/7 more than a whole or less than a whole? It's kind of near a whole, but not quite. So I probably will go past the 1, but not a lot past the 1, okay? Now, you on your whiteboard or your pocket chart are going to pause the video and solve the problem. Then you'll come back once you've gotten your answer. Make sure to pause. Remember, I have the sub and Miss Harris there. They're going to be watching to make sure that you pause the video. Don't be a cheater. Okay, welcome back. Only if you solved it. If you didn't solve it, then pause it and get an answer, then come back. Okay. So, solving it the first way, okay, I would draw my 1 whole, okay, and then I'm going to take away 6/7, which means that I want my whole to be in 7 so that I can take it away. Because remember, whenever I have a whole, it can have different size pieces. So I am going to change this into 7/7 plus 3/4, because 7/7 plus 3/4 still equals 1 whole and 3/4, but it makes it easier for me to subtract. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 pieces. I'm going to color in the whole thing. And then this is going to be my 3/4 that goes with the 1 whole. So even though the size pieces are different, it is still equal to 1 whole and 3/4. But now I can subtract this 6/7 from my whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to move this 3/4 over here. So I'm left with 1/7, and I have to put that with the 3/4. So I've got to find that common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 1/7 times 4. But if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator, so that would be 4/28. For the 3/4, I would multiply that times 7, so that would be 21/28. And if I add that together, then my answer would be 25/28. Now that might have been the way that you found the answer, or maybe you did it this way. So the other way that I would solve is I still have my 2 wholes, but I would make 1 3/4. Nope, I'm gonna rechange it, because if I do it this way, then Miss P's gonna be really struggling to get 7. So I'm gonna change my lines to going horizontal instead of vertical, because that is just gonna make my picture so much easier. Okay, here we go. There's 4. There's 4. So I'm gonna color in 1 3/4, because that is what I have. Okay, but like we've talked about, if I have 1 3/4, can I take away 6/7? Not if I leave it like that. I've got to find my common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 3/4 times 7, and that will give me 1 21/28. I'm going to draw my 6 lines. So if I count, there is 28 right here, 21 right here. I'm going to multiply the 6/7 times 4. That is 24/28. But it would not be that easy to take away 21 from 24. So I would rewrite this as there's 28 here and 21 here, so that would be 49/28 in total. And I can take 24 away from 49. 49 take away 24 would be 25/28. And again, you can see it doesn't matter which way I do it. I get the same answer either way. It's just what works best for you. Okay, we've got 2 more practice problems. So what Miss P's gonna do to make this go a little bit faster, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to work it. You pick which way you work it. Then we'll go over it, but I'm only gonna do it one way instead of both ways. But both ways will be up there, so you can check it either way. Okay, so pause, solve it on your whiteboard. Pause, solve it on your whiteboard. Be honest, don't be a cheater. Nobody likes a cheater. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to do it method 1 this time. I'll do method 2 the next time, but in a minute when I show you the picture, it'll show you if you got it right doing it the other way too. Okay, so 3 1/4 minus 2 1/2. Ooh, this one's a little bit different because I have a whole number and a whole number. So what I'm going to do first is subtract the 2 whole numbers. So 3 minus 2 I know is 1. So that changes my problem to 1 1/4 minus 1/2, okay? So then, remember, it doesn't matter what the whole is as long as the whole thing is colored in. It doesn't matter how many pieces there are. So to make it easier to subtract this 1/2, okay, I'm gonna color in this one as a 1/2. It's still a whole though, it's just cut into 2 pieces instead of 4. But I still need the 1/4 that goes with this one. So I'm gonna cut this one into 4 pieces and color in 1, okay? So the math that I'm doing is that 2 halves plus 1/4 does equal 1 1/4, and then I can take away the 1/2. So I'm gonna rearrange it to take away that 1/2, but I still have that 1/4. So now I have 1/2 plus 1/4. But in order to solve that, I've got to find a common denominator. So I can multiply the 1/2 by 4, but if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator, and that is 4/8. For 1/4, I'm going to multiply by 2, but if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator, that is 2/8. And 4/8 plus 2/8 equals 6/8, but I'm not done because I need to simplify. What can I count by that I would say 6 and 8? 2. They can both be divided by 2. So what is 6 divided by 2? 3. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my real answer would be 3/4, because remember, if I'm taking my test, 6/8 is not gonna be there. You have to simplify, okay? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and erase, but remember, if you did it the other way, the answer is gonna be on the next slide. So you can still check and see if you got it right, okay? So you can see they did 3 1/4 minus 2 1/2. They subtracted the 2 wholes, they got 1. Then they rewrote it as 5/4 minus 2/4 was 3/4. Get the same answer either way. Okay, our last problem, 4 1/2 minus 3 2/3. Well, which one would be greater, 1/2 or 2/3? If you're not sure, use your fraction pieces. 2/3 is bigger. That means that's going to make this problem a little bit different. But we can still do it. Okay, pause. Try to solve it on your whiteboard. Miss P will be right back. Don't be a cheater. I'm going to tell Miss Harris to tell me who the cheaters are tomorrow. Okay, welcome back. So let's see. 4 1/2 minus 3 2/3. I'm going to do this one the other way this time. Okay, so I still start by subtracting my 2 whole numbers. So 4 minus 3 would be 1. So now I have 1 1/2 minus 2/3. So in my picture, I am going to draw my 1 1/2. Okay, so here's my whole, and here's my half. Okay, now, but if I have 1 whole and a half, can I take away 1/3? No, I cannot, because I don't have thirds. So I'm going to combine my 2 pictures, or I'm going to draw 2 lines so that there are thirds, okay? So I'm going to multiply this one times 3, but if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator, so that is 1 3/6. Then I'm going to multiply this one times 2, but remember, if I do it to the numerator, I've got to do it to the denominator, so that is 4/6. But just like we've seen, if I have 4, it's not that easy to take away. If I have 3, I can't take away 4. But I could rewrite this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to rewrite it as 9/6 because it is easy to take away 4 from 9. And 9 take away 4 would be 5/6. So that's the answer you should have gotten, was 5/6. Now, if you did it the other way, it's still over here, okay? So I still did 4 take away 3, which was 1. So now I have 1 1/2 minus 2/3. And I'm going to take away the 2/3 from the 3/3. That would be a whole, which would leave me with 1/3. So then I'd add the 1/2. That's 2/6, that's 3/6. I still get 5/6. Okay? So now you are going to do your problem set. It is page 75, 76, 77. Okay? I will tell Miss Harris who needs to go back and work with her, so she will already know, and you can go back to her table. Okay, you're gonna do page 75, 76, 77. There won't be a timer like normal, but when you get done with those, or, okay, when it gets to 10 minutes left in class, okay, and the sub will remind you when there's 10 minutes left, or Miss Harris, then you'll do your exit ticket, because your exit ticket is for a grade. Okay, bye guys. I will see you on Tuesday. Your exit ticket is page 79. Make sure that you finish any homework because I don't want to have to send your mama a message telling her that you didn't do your homework. So do your homework. Make sure you turn in your problem set and your exit ticket. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday.